I'm gonna show some records here that I picked up on my recent trip to Milwaukee on our little Milwaukee record store crawl. I'm gonna split this into two videos because I picked up a lot of records and I really don't like making very long videos. So the main thing that I actually picked up on this trip was a lot of reggae music and some world music. And I picked up enough reggae music that I think I'm just going to make that a separate video, this one, and then I'll show the other stuff in another video. But the reggae music I picked up, as if you saw the video, we hit a place called Bullseye Records, which has a really good selection of reggae, a really good jazz section, and a really good blues section as well. Just in general, fabulous records. This is run by a guy named Luke, who used to run a place called Farwell Music when I used to go up to Milwaukee more often. And I hadn't been up there in a long time, and I kind of found myself wondering whether or not he was still around. But we stopped at a place called Bullseye Records, and sure enough, there's Luke running the place. So no longer Farwell Music, but it was nice to see him again, nice to talk to him. I asked him at one point if he had any business cards, and he gave me this, which is indeed a record for it's, sort of stamped Bullseye Records, Milwaukee's finest new and used. It's got the address on there and everything. This is this particular one, I think, is Beatles 65. Basically what he was doing is he's just taking old beat up records, old scratched up records that he can't sell, and making art out of them. Apparently he had these plastered at quite a few places around Milwaukee to try and generate some sales when he first opened up. But yeah, this is what he gave me in lieu of a business card. It was kind of cool. So I picked up the Selector. This is a second wave ska band. I'm not sure this really fits in with the reggae category, but I put it in there anyway. So this is a second wave ska band, the Selector. I'm not as familiar with them as I am with bands like the English Beat and the Specials and that sort of thing. But I have a two-tone, a 2 CD sampler from Two Tone Records, and it's got quite a few tracks from the Selector on there, and I like them. So looking forward to hearing that. The next two records, specifically want to send a little shout out to Teddy, Vinyliciousness. They're not jazz records, but at one point or another we had some conversation in a thread or a comment or something, a conversation about reggae bands, and he mentioned that this band called the Blue Rhythm Band from Kansas City was pretty good. And so I really didn't know what the chances were of finding a sort of a local Kansas City reggae band in this area, but not only did I find one, it's a promotional copy, but I found another one. So this first one just called Restless Spirit, and recorded in 1981. And then this one, Alive in Jamaica, recorded in Jamaica 1984. So apparently that's the band in Kingston, Jamaica. Gregory Isaacs, Night Nurse, sort of a classic, what they tend to call lovers rock reggae. I don't know. Gregory Isaacs just has a fantastic voice. He didn't do the roots reggae so much as he did sort of love songs, that sort of thing. But definitely reggae. Jimmy Cliff, Struggling Man. I have always really liked this cover. It's one of those covers where you can look at it and just keep looking at it and keep finding things that you may not have noticed the first time or the second time or the third time. So yes, Jimmy Cliff, Struggling Man. It's nice. I've got 3 or 4 other Jimmy Cliff records, so it'd be nice to add that to the collection there. The Heptones, Night Food. I absolutely adore this album. These guys, fabulous harmonies. A lot of reggae was pretty heavily influenced by Motown and sort of the singing groups and their harmonies and that sort of thing. But this is the Heptones and Night Food. There's a song on here called Book of Rules, which I actually turned into a series of mixtapes when I was making tapes. Remember these things? Anyway, I just called them Book of Rules. Just a collection of all kinds of reggae things. They weren't just Heptones things, but I really liked that Heptones song enough that I named the entire series after that. And there were probably, at the time, there were probably 3 or 4 tapes that I created, just mixes of mostly 70s, sometimes early 80s roots reggae, and certainly a number of Heptones songs on there. Another Heptones album, Party Time. These two, I think, were within a couple years of each other. Neither one of them are labeled very well. But Party Time from the Heptones. This one recorded at Lee Perry's Black Ark Studios in Jamaica. Lee Scratch Perry. Speaking of Lee Scratch Perry, Lee Perry presents the Jolly Brothers with Conscious Man. I think Conscious Man is probably one of my favorite reggae songs. I've got a lot of them. I'm really a big reggae fan. At some point or another, maybe I'll do a video or a couple videos on the reggae records that I have. I've had this one on CD for quite a while, and I'm really pleased to find it on vinyl. So Lee Perry presents the Jolly Brothers with Conscious Man. 2 fabulous songs on here, one right after the other, Conscious Man and Brotherly Love. Heck, those 2 songs alone would make this album worth having. But then you get the rest of it too, so it's kind of cool. This one I found sealed and new, so I'm pretty sure it's a reissue. But the Abyssinians and Sata, another absolutely fabulous group for harmonizing, vocal harmonizing. These guys much more into the sort of roots message and the back to Africa kind of thing that a lot of roots reggae had in common. But the Abyssinians, this is another. I've had a CD called Sata Masagana for the longest time, and many of the songs, Declaration of Rights and things like that, many of the songs are on that. So I'm thinking maybe this is just a reissue of the original record that came on in the CD as a compilation of several other things. But recorded by Joe Gibbs at Harry J Studios in Kingston, Jamaica. A couple albums by one of my favorite reggae bands, Culture. This one's called Harder Than the Rest, 1978. Features one of my favorite Culture songs, Iron Sharpening Iron. This is the Culture is famous for an album called 2/7's Clash, which they came out with either in 76 or 77, but sort of warning of 1977 on July 7th, 1977, when 2/7's were supposed to clash, and there was some Rastafarian mysticism working its way into that, and a bit of a sort of a Nostradamus-like prophecy. Of course, nothing ever happened, but it became a pretty big deal in Jamaican circles. And I do have a copy of 2/7's Clash on vinyl, and this is the album that came out right after that, so very pleased to find a copy of that. Recorded at Treasure Isle in Jamaica. So very cool. This is a Culture album from a little bit later on. This is 1989, so 10 years after that, 11 years after that. It's called Enough Crisis. One of the cool things about Culture, led by Joseph Hill, right there. One of the cool things about Culture is that they stayed true to the whole roots reggae thing throughout their entire career. I mean, you could find a song that they did. Joseph Hill unfortunately passed away, but all the way through their career to the very end, they were rootsy. They were a roots rock reggae band. I'm pleased to say that I actually met Joseph Hill at a reggae festival. And man, that was a thrill. Outside of, I suppose, Bob Marley, Culture has had the biggest impact on me in terms of their music. So that's the band Culture and Enough Crisis. Another one from the 80s, mid-80s, 1985, I think. Yeah, 1985, The Mighty Diamonds. And this one's called Struggling. Mighty Diamonds, another really fabulous harmonizers. And also very definitely a roots rock reggae band. A roots reggae band. I don't know why I keep saying roots rock reggae. Probably because of that Bob Marley song, Roots Rock Reggae. But a roots reggae band, the Mighty Diamonds. This is not my favorite Mighty Diamonds record, but it's really hard to go wrong with them. So anyway, yeah, I'm really pleased to find that and put it in the collection. But this is U-Roy, and it's called U-Roy Now. You can tell it's a fairly recent pressing. It's 180 gram vinyl. The jacket, really nice and, sort of contemporary feeling. This is one of those albums where U-Roy, who would be fantastic all on his own, basically got together. There's a bunch of people on here: Flabba Holt, Sugar Minot, Mighty Diamonds, Horace Andy. Horace Andy has done some vocalizing with Massive Attack, Max Romeo, Sly and Robbie, a bunch of people like that, just sort of helping him out on this record. So you got his songs with a bunch of those people sort of helping him out, featuring this person and that person. So really nice to have that. Dub Syndicate. This is Adrian Sherwood's project. His sort of Adrian Sherwood and On You Sound bringing dub reggae into the fore in the 90s. So this one's 1993 and features a lot of the typical characters on Dub Syndicate records. Style Scott, Skip McDonald, Talvin Singh, guys like that. But also, very special thanks to his oneness, Lee Perry, on tracks 2 and 3. So yeah, Dub Syndicate, Echomania. It's another one I've had on CD for a long time, and really thrilled to find it on vinyl, and I enjoy playing that one. Speaking of Adrian Sherwood and On You Sound, one of the guys that he's worked with quite a bit recently is Bim Sherman. Well, I shouldn't say has worked with quite a bit recently. Bim Sherman is no longer with us, but certainly Bim Sherman was a major part of the kind of stuff that Adrian Sherwood was putting together with On You Sound and some of those sorts of things. So this is Love Forever, the classic Jamaican recordings, Bim Sherman. And it's a double record. It's not a gatefold, but it's a double record. And again, a fairly recent issue because the vinyl is pretty thick on this. So nice little package there, Bim Sherman. And then also, Bim Sherman, Rub-a-Dub, a collection of dub tracks from Bim Sherman. Neither one of these really, even though this is an On You Sound production, the backing bands on this, it's all fairly old recordings. The backing bands on this, Soul Syndicate, The Gladiators, Roots Radics, recorded at Treasure Isle and Channel 1 and King Tubby's. So basically both of those just really nice collections of Bim Sherman stuff. I really like him. I really like his sort of style in terms of reggae music. Anyway, that's that, and I will be back with another video where I talk about some of the non-reggae things that I found on my trip to Milwaukee.